Going to, yeah. Oh, green microphone. Oh no, mic is working. Oh, camera. Excellent. The creative. Lovely. Let's get rid of the spoon. We don't need the spoon on that. And we should have audio. We have got audio. Right, move the phone out of the way. Let's get rid of that. Oh, what the heck is going on now? Why have I got a white? Why the hell have I got a 4K? There you go. I don't know what went on there. I haven't got a clue. Sorry, guys. I know you just started streaming because today I've got belts to do on this. This has been sitting around for today. Give me 2 minutes. Let me get rid of the dog went to try and chew the spoon up. So let's give us a minute. Into diesel. Oh, the only thing with diesel is not nice. So that is hopefully we should get somewhere. Cool. So these are the old belts. I don't know how far I got in there because I think obviously I did buy new belts for this and obviously forgot where I put the new belts and literally you know, forgot to put the new belts. Well, obviously I did put them down, but it's like everything else in here, you know, stack of stuff to get through. Okay. Trying to get all these projects finished on that front. Let me just give me 1 minute. Let me set up what's going on here. Now, lovely. So, the first things first. I've got wire coming out of that, so let's move the belt. Make sure we have got the belts, otherwise I won't get any further. No, that's all right. I've got some belts. New belts. Cool. This is not easy to replace belts on this front. So hopefully this is going to be a little bit challenging, if I remember correctly, because I already broke the speaker, punched the speaker. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the speaker out before I damage that speaker any further, because you cannot buy parts for this at all, not one bit, which is not ideal. Like most of these retro items, not the greatest. I stream near enough every day, so if you guys do want to pop on, say hello, by all means, pop in the chat and say hello. It's always going to be tech related, it's going to be retro related. That's all I deal with. I try not to deal with modern equipment, it's not ideal. So, I'm going to take the speaker out. Which is right, can we take that? Oh, bloody no. Yeah, you've got two at the bottom as well. I didn't even see that. Well, they put them well in. No, now I've dropped it. Great, isn't it? Alright, tweezers. Cool. Pull that on there. Dog's obviously sitting on my chair. I don't know why he's got his own chair. I don't know why he wants to sit on my chair. It's smaller. Lovely. Nice one. Now the speaker should come in. Yeah, right. Told you, these are not easy to work on. These reel-to-reels. Oh, I've had a couple of reel-to-reels. Obviously, shame about the Sony that I had. It was a beautiful machine. Right? Yeah, see, look. So straight away, this one's broken off. Down there. I've got to try and put that back on. Oh, that's going to be a challenge. I've got to try and put that back on there. Yeah, anyway, you saw, but I punched it, look, right with the, the cone on there, and that's only paper, and it's really fragile. We haven't got another cone to put on, because you can't buy these speakers. You just physically can't get them. It's like everything, I suppose. You try and get something off there, and you're going to have trouble getting parts for all of these. So anyway, the wires are there been cut, so I'm not really bothered to be totally honest. So hopefully. So what I've got to do is take this off the bottom. I've got to flip her over. Yeah, this is not going to go the way I think it's going to go, because I forgot you've got bloody wires everywhere. Yeah, of course you have. I'm going to do these by hand. Have I got a little pot to put some of these in? Let's have a look, see if I've got a little. Oh, told you. Beans end up falling. Of course they do end up falling, because it's not designed for it. No. Screws on that one, no. Well, if that's all that's in there, can't that one go in there with all them other little bits? Then I've got a pot. You know, there you go. That's why I like to keep these little curry pots about, and put screws and things in, and then I know where they're all going. That's the brass screws in. Okay. I'm really a little bit gutted that I've lost the other belts, because I did buy a new set. I thought I had some diesel in the can, and clearly I haven't. And I'll have to get 2 cans of diesel tomorrow. Yeah. Hate handling diesel. Bloody, it's horrible, oily, it's nasty stuff. But besides deal from my diesel eater, it keeps me warm. I knew this was going to be the case, because as soon as I knew I was going to get this to come out, I don't know if the plug's going to go through. No, as usual, the plug won't go through. For crying out loud. Right, what I'll have to do then is pull this out as much as I can. Obviously the plug's not going to go through that hole, because look, it won't go through. You can see it won't go through the hole. So what I'll have to do is push that down and just move that out the way. Right. In that way, I ain't got to worry about it. The only thing is, I just got to watch this wire. It's the only thing. It's just, easier said than done. Watch the wire. Right, we've put, it looks like I've already put a belt on this, but I don't know if this is I think that's the original belt, because it's oval shaped, so straight away, not great on that, because like you said, I did buy a new set of these belts, and I can't bloody find them anywhere. So, I mean, that's a nice big chunky belt. I mean, I'm not saying that probably is okay at the end of the day. It sort of grips, but it is sort of oval shaped. No, he's buggered off. Cool. Right. What we got in here? We've got we've got the underneath, we've got, bloody hell, look at these old capacitors. You're probably never going to get these caps. Never. God, if I remember correctly, this was a bastard to do. Absolute headache. Right, anyway. Got to be done. Been sitting under there for far too long. Right. Now, if I remember correctly, this has to come off. I'll lift all this off. Put them ones there for a minute, because I'm going to put these back on. No, didn't see that one. It's got a Discord from it. Just to let them know that I'm going live. Handy stream. Cool. We take that off. We sure can take that off. Now, if I remember correctly, this has to come out. Take, we take that out. I don't think we can because it's strapped to that. Find out the word. Leave that on there for a minute. Yep. Yeah, this is the headache that I had involved in last time I put all this together, because this was not easy. And that, it's all springs related into this. It's all bloody spring related. Right. Let's take that off. And we'll take that one off. Take that out. Obviously. We got the pinch wheeler off. Now, obviously, we've also got that to take off. That goes on there. We're going to leave that on there. Now, I've got to try and get... Now, one of these wheels, if I remember correctly, let's go and get me tool. This wasn't the easiest thing to put back on. Obviously, I had the big wheel, and there was another one to put on. So let's put the big one on. Lift that up. If I can lift it up. Not the easiest to lift up. What I need to do. See, this is the only thing with these bloody things. They are not the easiest. So, getting this off is, this is the headache I had involved last time, trying to get that off. So I've got to slip the belt over. This is what snaps on this. I know it did. But obviously, the headache I had trying to get it off, and then lining this all up. Right, that belt is slipped over. Right, cool. Now I've got to put all that back. Right, that, I think that was the only belt I had to put on that gave me the headache, which was that big one. Right, yeah, now this is where it gets tricky. I've got to guide everything back in with guide pins on that front, because this is, again, it wouldn't, for some reason, it weren't lining up. see, straight away I'm running into the headache I've already received, which was that goes on there because it's sprung loaded. That has to go in that slot because of that piece. Oh yeah, yeah. This is the joys of what happened last time. Oh my god. So put that round there. So that's got to go up there on that front. These have to go right, that goes in that slot. Fucking here we go. Yeah, I knew I was going to get this. Right, so what I'll have to do on this one is to try. Oh my god, it's absolutely chaotic. Yeah, not the easiest to try. But as soon as because they're sprung loaded, you can't get nothing in it. To try to you've got to try and guide the wheels because you've got this mechanism to put in as well. So that mechanism's got to go like that. That's then got to. Oh my god, that is an headache. Right, hold up. It's all going wrong here because again, guide pins are all coming out. That's not guiding. That's not sitting right. That's sitting right now. I mean, I only want to get the bloody belt in, but this is the headache, the procedure that you've got to take in consideration that, to guide all these in. Obviously, that's a guide on that front, so that's got to sit in there, right? You know what I could have just done with on there? What I need to do is just put like one of these screws to stop it from picking back. And this is part of the result. I think what you've got to do, you've got to partly hold it down, not too tight, because otherwise you can't move it. These have to be guided, which that's not guided, so that's out of alignment. So again, that's out of alignment. So I'm going to have to take that back off, guide this top part. I think this is what I did through last time. You've got the sprung-loaded clip on this side, right? That's not guided up. You've got a fucking piece of metal at the front there. That's got to go into that section. I've got to guide that in. Right. Jesus, it's an headache. What a complete kerfuffle you have got to get just put in. And this is the trouble. If these ain't guiding and these ain't lining up, you're not going to get this in. And this is the problem I'm having at the moment. At the end of it. Because one's a brake. See, this is a braking system. The brake's this, but it's all falling out because you've got all these guides that you've got to put in place for the plate to sit on top. This is just to change one belt. That's the hardest thing that I ran into because the belt snapped. Just snapped. It went brittle. And they're big belts, but for some reason I can't seem to guide that. That's not guided because I think I know why that's not guided. Because again, like that bit slots in there, but there's something else that's not slotted right in that front, and I think it's up here. I think that's what it's doing. It's not allowing this to sit straight, and I think this is the problem I had last time, and I'll just give up. In the end, I just said I'll come back to it, and it sat there for about 7 months. Then I realised, I thought, well, all right, I'll give it another go. Where's the belts? Then I couldn't find the belts. I've lost them. to order another set of belts, which was bloody frustrating because I know I've got another set of belts for these. You've got the massive wheel at the bottom, but that's not seem to be sitting straight for some reason, which is probably not helping the situation. But all this up here, this is what's throwing it all off because it's not allowing it to sink. As soon as I can get that, then I know that the rest should slot into place. And that's the trouble. I've got the wheel and the braking system and the selector. So you've got to get the selector in, which is at the top, which is this, what I'm mucking about with. I knew it. I just knew this was going to get really put up a fight. Right, that guide's in. That guide's in. That's in. That's not in, obviously. You've got the pinch roller here. That you've got the selector roller. That's got to go in that way. That's then got to go in. Jesus. Right, that seems a little bit better, but it's still not clicking right down. Because this top part ain't, and that ain't. So there is an issue here. Oh, the roller's come off. Where's the roller gone? Don't matter. So I can pull it back whilst I'm on it. Let's see if I can put at least one screw back in. Put one screw in to keep this end down. Don't need to go too mad. I just want to stop it from keep. Trouble is, you're trying to guide all of these. There's some. Let me show you. So, the issues that you end up having is these on you've got here. You've got these all where these move around. You've got guide pins that they stick up, so they've got to sit in the selector for it to sit. So it pushes down and then clamps. But obviously, like that one there and that one there. So I've done two. I've got two in. So if I just knit that, not enough, but leave enough thread so you've got a little bit for it to sit in. That then should, in theory, stop all of that from keep popping out. Obviously, I've got the guide wheel in. The belt's in. This is why I wanted to come back to it because I don't know what happened, but for some reason I had a big, massive broken belt. I had two broken belts. This is a 3-belt system at the end of it, and I broke the speaker in return trying to get this sorted out. But again, that's got to come back out. I've just looked. I've got the selector here. I've got the wheel here, and that's got to go back in. But I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it goes in this side or the other side. I can't remember. I think it's the other side. No, it's up here. It's actually it's up this end because I've got it spun round. So this side there, I've got to put the pincher wheel back on because that's part of the selector there. So that's got to be. That's partly in. That's locked into place, but I've not tightened these up because again, I've still got some cleaning to do, which this has never been done. So let me spin around now and see if I can do the other side. This was the other side that was giving me an headache. But it won't lift up here and pull out and jump out here because obviously I've nipped it down so it can't jump out the other pins. Well, I say that obviously there ain't no other belts to put on underneath it, so I've got to put this section back in. Now where did I take? I forgot where I took this off. Find that back. Right. So that I think that goes up here. There's two little selector holes there. So I think I took the thing off. I think that's it. Hold up, I've got it upside down, you know? Yeah, upside down. So right, okay, I'm leaving this spring on. I can put the spring on after and spring it back. Yeah, there is. So, oh, that's the only thing. See, look, I'm altering that, and now that's jammed up there. See, this is what I'm up against. You start lifting it up, and then you're lifting this side up, but you can't go too mad. I think that selector wheel goes right underneath here, if I remember correctly. It does. So I've got the selector wheel where I need it to go. But the trouble is, the spring's round the wrong way. Right, okay, got it round the right way now. I've moved that. Oh, find out that. Can that go back over? I think I did. It needs to go there. This is the type of the issues that you have to try and guide, you know, things back up to the way they are. They're not the easiest. That front. Now I've altered this, and now it's threw all this off at the top here. Because again, that's better. Right, that's sort of sitting a little bit better now. What about that side? No, I've altered that one. See, this is what happens when you're altering guides, because again, if this don't sit right, it won't pull right here. Right, cool. Let me see if I can tighten it up just a tad. I don't want that to keep coming off. It's bloody annoying. Yeah, that's all right now. Right, that shouldn't come off. That's sort of trying it loud. I've got to try and get that guide pinning. This is what I'm saying, guys. Vintage stuff, even though it may look easy, I can assure you it's just as challenging as a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. It's more, sometimes it can actually be harder because most of it is on the mechanical side. You've only got to release a spring or a tensioner, and then you'll have the exact same problem. You're trying to guide it back in, and they all have to go in a certain way. So it sometimes can actually be really difficult to do. It's not the easiest. That belt, what's that? Okay. So I've got to try and push this back, right? And this is the issue I've got. So I've got this one to put back. I've got a guide here that keeps popping out. So that's got to go back because that's a spring clip. So I've got to guide them two in. Easier said than done. Right, yeah, that might have helped it a little bit. There we go. Hopefully, the only that's not in. No, that's a shame. There you go. Can we clip that in? Can I call you Mister? Yeah. What? Discord. Right, that clips up the top, but that's obviously not clipping down. So yeah, you know why it ain't clipping down? It's because of that. So, right, okay. But we've sort of near enough there. I just want to guide that. Just getting these, once I've got these guide plates in, it ain't so bad. And this is what's doing it, is these little things that's actually stopping it from it being all sunk properly. So you need light, what you need to do is put light in. Right, so you've got Oh, Jesus. This is absolutely horrendous to work on. Right. So I've got that one in. Right. I've got that section in. So let me see if I can put a screw down there to try and hold that in. It's not sitting 100% right. But if I leave enough room just to bite that, to stop that from popping off. Because again, that bottom part is all done. So I've straightened all that. It's now up here. It's giving me the headache. But I've got to do it where it ain't enough where I can't move it. And again, this selector wheel it's always the selector wheels. Always. Right, where's my pliers? Let's grab me pliers. You've got to get in really tight sort of corners. This is just to change a belt. It's absolutely mad. So I've got to put long nose pliers in, right in between, and move that over so it slots into that little tiny slot up here. Like that. That's slotted in. Come on. Because otherwise, this won't slot into the other pieces. No, that's popped out. That's in. That one's not in. That's in now. I think I've done it. I'm going to tighten these up. And crying out loud for that. That was not easy. Now, I think I'll double check, but I think I've now selected that. Whatever you do, if you do get one of these real wheels, do not ever take the top plate completely off. Because of the way that is. These are not easy to replace. Right, okay. Obviously, we've got an issue. Obviously, we've got the wheel. I'm pretty sure that wheel has to turn. One turns, but they're sprung loaded anyway. So one turns and one turns the other way. So I'll double check, but I'm going to tighten these up. They're all in their selector slots now, so it is sitting 100% straight. I'll spin the platter, the actual main wheel, and it's spinning fine, so I've not got a problem there. Some of this might want re-greasing because this bloody feels really tight. It's like, never had a greasing on that front. But I could do that after. All I wanted to do was just replace the belt. That's all I was after doing. But it's like I said, this is not easy to replace. Getting these belts replaced on there, you will run into multiple. You probably will run into issues just to try and get a bloody belt replaced. Don't want to bend it either. Something there. Right. Let's pull that back round. And I want to see if anything's lined up now. Oh, here's the bush roller. I was looking for that. Let me spin the wheel first, make sure it's sitting nice. No, that's not sitting straight. Is now. This is what I'm saying about bending and pushing things in. I think we're fine there, because that's for another selector. So that's in. I can put that in. That's not a problem. This one down here, I can put the bush wheel, the wheel in. So that's not a problem. Everything else seems to be partially lined, except that I've not put. See that that couldn't go anywhere else, this wheel. So I know for a fact that this is that's got to go somewhere on that front. So you can feel it. It does sort of turn it. One of these is a selector. I think that looks twisted. I don't know if that has to go. Don't tell me I've put that upside down. No, it probably wouldn't, would it? No, I don't think it is. Because that there, that's a play. Right. One of these is a play, one's a stop. That is a braking system. I don't know if that has to go behind or in front. I haven't got a clue. Because that's sort of gone behind. That's gone behind it like that. So I'm hoping that's not wrong. But something's not right with here with the controller arm, like the pinch roller. That to me seems wrong. The end of it. The right way up, it has to go down. I think that, I mean, mind you, saying that, I mean, it can't go in, it can't go the other way. It's because, like you said, looking, when I took this off, it was down anyway. So, because it's got to run on top of the roller for it to grip on the wheel to spin the top part there. But what I wasn't 100% sure, one's gone behind, the other one's gone in front. So obviously one of these is wrong at the end of it. I mean, if it's too, I mean, obviously you don't want to that end up being. I think that could be wrong. And I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying, but then I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. Let's just lift it up ever so slight. Push that over. Push that back and put this one back in. Like that. I think it did. I think that's how it went. And then put the screw back in. Don't think it went in front. So if there's too much friction, we've got that piece in. I've still got to get the belt on yet, which I've not done. That feels a bit better because now it's not so tight anymore. So that definitely feels a lot better. But once I put the springs on, because I've got the spring to put on there, I still ain't put the belt on yet. The platter's spinning nicely. I think I've got that the right way now. It had to go behind and not in front. So before I put the springs on, let's see if I can try to get the belt on. The belt is now, the hardest part is that I've put the belt on. Like I've got it over, but I still haven't got it onto the actual, the wheel itself. So I think what I should do is do the big wheel first, pull it, not too far, because I don't want to snap and go through these belts again, because they're not, like I said, they're not the easiest to put on. So this has been sitting around for too long, and I haven't got round to doing it because I've had other projects to do as well. So this is what it's like. You said, you can't grip nothing. There's nothing to. This is what I said about with mechanical stuff. It's absolutely a nightmare, and there's nothing you can get underneath to have a look. I mean, I've put that belt on. That one's done. I mean, obviously there's another belt that goes on top part, and it says it's a 3-belt system. I'm just trying to have a look to see if there's any other belts. I can't see any other belts. So I've got springs. I've got to wire them back up to the speaker. They've got to be soldered and spliced back on. What I might do is extend the wires. I've got some wire. I've got some heat shrink, but I think that's a small price to pay comparing. Thinking, is that spring loose on that one? No. So let me grab that spring first. Right, that one's on. Right, I've put that spring on. Yeah, I think that arm's bloody bent, you know. I can see it. I think I accidentally bent the arm up slightly, ever so slight. See if I can straighten it up. That looks a little bit better. It's got to sit in between. You don't want the wheel sitting in tight, because otherwise one will try and go one way and one will go the other. So you've got to have a gap, because this is going to be spinning. This is a direct motor coming off that big transformer which is underneath here. I mean, you won't want to be touching any of this. That's why I've not plugged it in, because this is live. It's 240 volts coming straight off. So you're going to have 240. It goes onto the switch and then it comes back straight into this transformer. So you will get a buzz. And this being made all of metal, I wouldn't recommend touching it. So no, on this front. But so I've got another guide bit to put back, but I'm still trying to grab. I mean, I've straightened that wheel out a little bit better on that arm. The spring's back in, so I've put the spring back in to take the tension. I've got to do the spring back onto, it's got to go back onto this. And that's obviously bent up, so that's got to be straightened. Because that's not supposed to get straight. It's all bent. That's it. It's got to be straight. Obviously, otherwise, it's because it was bent, it was twisted over one side. We've got selectors on here, so but I still need to grab that belt, and this is the issue I'm end up having, because I can't grip the bloody belt. It's like you said, it's all right putting the belt on, but you need to grab it, pull it over, and I need to put it onto the big shaft item itself without not breaking it. Yeah, easier said than done, but I think we've got there, because I've actually got the belt. But pull that up there for a minute. This is all for the sake of a belt snapping. I mean, it's like I said, just to change a belt. You'd think it'd be a simple operation. No. And some of them, and I've had a couple of these reel-to-reels that I've repaired, and yeah, exactly the same issue. Some's even more complicated to actually try and put on. What I've got to try and do is hold that in the back of my hand, and at the same time, grip that, put that over the brass section, Right, I think that's on the big wheel, I think. Well, nearly on the big wheel. No, it's come off the big wheel. Right, let me grab it up this end and take tension of that big belt. Yeah, it's a challenge. And you're trying to do it with tweezers. But you've got to. It's like trying to pick spaghetti up while it's wet. This belt is just not the easiest to try and do, because what he's doing is he's jumping off while you're trying to put it on. It's about the same thickness as a piece of spaghetti, but it's the correct size belt. It's the only big belt that's on it. You've got to be careful not to damage the belt. Once the belt's on, it'll stay on. Oh, he's putting up a fight. He's definitely putting up a fight. Like I said, these are not the easiest to try and do. Right, that is 90% there. So what I need to do, I've got to be careful here. It's hooked over on this part, right? So what I want to do now is get it hooked over here. Nope, it's come off again. You sod. That belt, that'd be too tight. It's the right size belt, like I said, to fit on it. But it's just getting it on, because you're trying to complicate, you're trying to get it over the wheel, and you've got to slot it in between and get it round at the same time. So you need, like, feels like you need multiple hands. But perseverance, I think this is what I've done. I've got it nearly 90% there. I don't know what actually happened. But I know I did buy a new set of belts for this. Just did. But it did give me an headache in the process. It wasn't the easiest. Holy smokes. Right, so I've got to go back underneath here again on this side. I've got to put that, if I hook that over like I did there, do the exact same thing again, which I did last time. Guide it over and release. No. No. Come on. No. Oh, you buggers. I've got it near enough there, but every time I seem to be releasing it. So what I've got to do is guide it up like that, which it is. But this is how I've done it last time. I've done this and then it bloody jumped off. So I've got it on that side. I've got it on that side. Hold up a minute. Oh, for crying out loud. You know what, it's got to go in here. This is why it's jumping off. Right? You can't see through here, right? This is the gap I've got to work with, right? In between. You've got a lot. And one on the other side, right? I've just looked straight down. It's got to go over that arm. It's got to clear that arm, and it's gone under the arm. That is why it's giving me the headache. So this, because this is the selector wheel. Obviously, this has got to move. It's gone under it. It's got to go over. So the only way to do that is that it's got to come back off, right? Jesus, I mean, you know, seriously, this is if I have to give this a difficulty of 1 to 10, this is a 10 plus. So it's got to come back out, and it's got to go over the arm like that, then like that to clear it. Now I've got to put that back on again, because then it'll clear the arm. It was only on this side that was giving me the end. I thought, why ain't that going on? Right, let's try that again then. Jesus, it really is. It's not the easiest to work on. It's just not. Right, is that on? If I look down now, will that clear now? Yes, that clears that arm. That's this side, fine. It was just that it had to go over that arm. There's an arm right down here. Let me show you, you can see it. There's an arm right at the bottom, right, where this spring is. And it's got to go literally, you've got to slot it over the arm, and it was under the arm. Otherwise it would have rubbed against it. So what I've got to try and do now, without not for it jumping off this selector with that big metal wheel, I've got to now keep the tension, right, push this over, that's gone on that side. Hold, no, it's come off again, is it? No, it hasn't. Cool, okay. That belt feels loose. That don't feel right to me. That's loose as anything, that belt. There ain't another wheel that's got to go on, is there? I didn't see another wheel. Let me have a look. Unless I've missed something out. I've put that the right side. Because again, there's no instructions for these. None. I can't see any. You know what? It might have to. You say that. That selector might have to go around this wheel. But I can't see why it should go around that side. But I can see that it's got a lip. I reckon that's got to go over that. If that's the case, I've got to loosen that back out. For that, oh, that's going to give me an headache. Because that belt is too loose. It's just not, something's not right with that. And I think that's what it does. It slots over this wheel. So, because the belt snapped and it's been so long, so the big wheel that goes round, it has to go this way, go round that wheel, and then slot onto there to take the tension up. That's why I thought, well, that feels loose. It should not be that loose at the end of it. And yeah, I'm thinking that's exactly that. That looks like that's the case, because looking underneath there, you can actually see right underneath there's a plastic disc. It's about that wide, and that will take up that gap. So it looks like it's when this spins, this puts pressure onto this side for this to spin. So I've not known it to, but then I could be mistaken. Because looking at that, let's double check. I'm nearly there to try and put this on. But there's too much slack on that side, and I bet it's jumped off that wheel, isn't it? Yeah, it's jumped off the wheel. So I think that's where it might have to go. I mean, I'm only guessing because, again, this broke a long time ago. and obviously I don't know where it's broke from because it just snapped. It's obviously old and brittle, but it does make sense to put it round that big wheel. That sits round that one. Personally, I didn't think it would, because I thought once it goes round there, this spins this side, which spins for the canter. Because look, you can actually see the canter going round at the top here. So that spins that side, and then this side, obviously, once it's the pinch roller, this is a selector. Once you turn it, then it turns this, because that's pinching against it. That's pushing against that, and then this side. Then how would that move? Because this don't move, so I don't quite understand that. What was the idea? See, again, understanding the mechanics to something like this is obviously not the easiest, because if that was moved over there, that would still spin. You know, it's got the clearance, but how would that spin? And it won't turn anything. So I suppose because is this side? I don't know. I'm completely confused on this situation. So I know that's the right side there. So we've got that side and that side correct. I've put the spring onto that. Obviously, that's the spring there for this to take the tension on this side. Put that in play. But I still think there's something wrong with the way this is set up, because obviously there's too much slack. It won't take up all of the actual brass wheel, so it actually might go on to that section now on that front. And I think what that does, there's a selector, and then that's a spring loaded. Obviously you've got a selector here that pulls this mechanism that ties this in with this plastic. So I think what I've got to try and do is get that wheel over to here as well. But then that to me just don't seem right, because the reasons why I say that, there's a cutout on this selector wheel where the belt passes through so it doesn't rub. If that was passing them through there, that wouldn't be doing nothing, which don't seem to make sense to me on that front. But it's jumped off again anyway, so I've got to try and put that back on. Oh God, this is the joys of trying to fathom out. I'm going to hook the belt back over here and pinch that big wheel. Let's pinch that again, bring it over. Just feels like there's too much slack in this belt. It just don't, it something don't feel right. The belt, it should not be that loose. I mean, that's saying that that's on, and the belt is too slack. Let me double check. Let's go to eBay. I know I got the right belt for this. I know I did. So if I go into that purchases, the Grundig, the TK146, free belt system. This is the belt system that I actually did order. This is a reel-to-reel free belt system, new old stock. But that just feels too loose to me. I mean, it's on, it is on, but it's going to slip off because there's not enough tension. It's gone to the tension side, but that's not going to grip. That's going to slip off that beam, which it is already. I can see it. So unless it has to go around something else, and I can't see anything. Actually, come to think about it, there is another belt. Oh, for crying out loud! I've just found where the other belt's got to go. Right? You know, I was saying you earlier on, right? That this, right? This has got a plastic lip underneath here. I've just found where that's gone. That has got to go back on to that metal platter, and I've just seen it. It sits underneath, right underneath here. So there's the other one, because I said to you, where's the 3-belt system? So this medium-sized belt, this has got to come back off, and it's got to sit underneath that. So that's got to come back off. There's no way to actually get that back on. So I've got to take all this top part to get to put it onto here. But we're still running into the issue that belt is still too slack. Because it don't seem to fit it. I mean, it goes on, but it's not the greatest. That's so I mean with the belt, and I've only just found that. I've only just noticed where that. I thought, well, where's the 3rd belt go? And that would be your 3 belts. But that top part belt is still very. It's not the tight. It seems to me. It seems like it's too loose. It's not tight enough. Yeah, it definitely goes at the bottom. I can see it goes at the bottom. So, but I mean, that is physically in. It's gone through the guide. I've put it through the guide. It's going through to the guide. It's gone onto the brass wheel here. That's now sitting on there. You can see it, but it is loose. That's going to jump off. You know, that's what I'm worried about. There ain't no other way where that goes. But the other belt goes from underneath that platter wheel to this wheel here to spin this one. And that does make sense because one will grab to rewind it, and as soon as you let it go, that will stop. But that's not my concern. My concern is the main wheel itself. So that didn't go onto that wheel. This actually does go the way I've got it. But I've got to take all that back off so I'm going to have the same issue again to try and get that belt on because I've got to lift that up. So this will all have to come back off again because I've got to put the 3rd belt on. This is the issue. That belt has got to go on there. And that belt is obviously, looking at that would be the right tension. But obviously that's the right tension, but that's not the right tension, because looking at that, because if that went on there, that would ping that over. But if I tried to put that on that big belt and stretch that over to on there, so yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to take all that back off. Oh, that's going to be a pain. So I'm going to have to loosen all them bolts back off because I've now found where that 3rd belt goes. Just like I said, you've got no schematics on this, none. You probably can, but it still wouldn't help you where to try and guide you to put where all these belts go, and they are not the easiest. So I'm going to have to take all that off, this is going to slot all up. This is all going to come apart, which it can't be helped. So I I've got to lift that wheel back up to get the third belt on, the second belt. And then I can put it all back. Straight away, it's loosened that. So I mean, well, you have to really look for these mechanical items. They're not the easiest to try and do. I've got to try and lift one side up, right? Well, straight away that's popped out, right? Which I already knew that was going to be. Lift that out. I've got to lift this all the way up so I can get access to that big wheel, right? Like that. And then I've got to lift that second belt. It's got to go over. It's got to literally go over the top part because I don't want to take all this off. I've got to take that, slip it over, which it is, and then I can put it underneath where it needs to go. Right, I'll do that after, right? Obviously, now I've disturbed all of this, the mechanism, which I already knew this was going to happen anyway, because as soon as this is what I said, don't take it all off, because you will run into a problem. Now I've got to put this selector arm back on, which is hold up. Which way has this gone round? I think is it that way? Can I call you Mister? Yeah, I think it does. I think it's got to go. Hold up. Oh, lovely. You've got to love it. Right, I think. Jeez Louise. Right, okay. Hold up. I don't know if that goes that way and then that goes over. One of these is a selector. Now, obviously, got to put that's got to sit on that. See what I mean by taking these off? So, you know, just to get a second belt on. The difficulty level on this is, like I said, it's really difficult because you don't want to take this all off because again, you'll have issues of lining up and all types of issues, which I'm having right now at the end of the day, which is not helping the situation. There's a bit underneath there. This has got to sit in to select. There's a selector underneath that needs to sit onto bridge, which it does there, right? That then sits on top, right? So that sits on top of that. That then has to sit on top of that. That has to go on top of that part. Oh my God. It literally is not easy to do. Right. That's got to sit on there. That's not now. I've got to line that up. Got to line that up. I've got to line that wheel up. Because right, that's on there. So let me put a screw there. Oh, hold up. I've got to put these in. Sugar lumps. Jeez. Right. Cool. Is that in? Can I go, you mister? Thank you for coming. Right, I'm going to put one in at the back here. to stop this from popping off. Right. Got the second belt over. I've not put it underneath. I can select that. I can do that after. The second belt had to go over that to turn this wheel. Right. Which it is. It is definitely on. The only thing is, it's not lined up because it's not got set. Right. It is now lining up. Right. Cool. But it's still not straight. Because again, I wanted to stop this from popping off. So I'm going to put another screw in up here, but not tighten it down, just enough to bite it so it stops the rest of this from jumping off. Right, back there. Cool. Now I need to line this side up because I've got the second belt on. I've got that one there. I've got that one to line up, and you've got to line 3 up in one go. Literally, you've got to line 3. Oh, and that. I'm trying that there. I forgot because that's now come off. Of course it has. Actually, come to think about it, is that bent? No, I don't think so. Yeah, that bit's bent. Thought it was. And I looked at that. I went, something's not right with that. I bent the wheel out there. You can actually see. It's actually it's not lined up. It's curving that way. It wants straightening up. Oh, I don't know where. Oh, my pliers are behind it. Right. Keep your sellotape. Let's straighten that up a bit. Don't want to. These have got to be kept straight because, again, this sits in between. Look. It's a bit better. Yeah, cool. So now it's got to go back in. So what I'm going to do is lift that up. Right? Because again, this has got to go back into sit. Where's that got to sit? Now it's got to. Come on. Now this thing's got to. Of course it has. Right. Hold up. So that's got to go into up here, right? So I've got to keep it this way. Don't go that way. It just goes up here, right? So I've got to try and move the belt, not break the belt. Yes, that was all for the sake of because I didn't put the second belt on. Put the first belt on, and then I realised when you think, no, you've got a second belt to put on. So it's all what you've done. It's going to have to come back off, right? This is why I like to keep it in the corner. Because again, lining purposes, none of this is now lining up because of this matter here. But that one, if this ain't lined up, because this will prevent that side from lining up. That is why mechanicals, these are lovely to work. These are nice when they're working, but they're a nightmare to try and replace the belt for the aggravation that you're going to end up having, right? Because like you said, it's literally you're trying to guide things in where you're thinking, oh my god, why is that not going in? So you've got to be careful here. You've got to guide it here, and then once you've sort of you've done one section, right, try and put another screw in and tighten it down just a little bit more so that side stops keep popping out, because otherwise these are all guides and you need to slot these in these little guides because they do matter. Right, so I've got up to that bit. I still haven't done it here because like there, because this is forbidding me for this to sit down. which it is. Which is not helping because that wheel is not sitting straight. It won't sit straight because, like you said, you're trying to put, you've got pins to try and guide you in. It's all got to slot into place. Like that. See, like that. Now that one's slotted in. I just heard that click and it did. It sort of like it helped. I'll guide that one in. I've got to guide 4 in here, not just 3. That's popped out. But again, it's that big wheel. You know, I've still got to get the belt over. I can get the belt over after, once I've guided it all in, and then it will help me. No, hold up a minute. This is not great because it's now gone over. So that big wheel. Oh my god, it's got worse by the minute. Right, hold up, I've got a problem here. Right, the big wheel. Right, I'll have to try and get that before I do anything. It's got actually gone under, which I don't want it to go under. It's got to go over. So I ain't got to take all that back off, thank God I am. I'm going to have to try and grab that wheel, grab this belt and slot it over the top part. Yeah, here we go. Got it. Cool. Right. That's better. Right, that's better. Let's put this back over. Right, let's slot that one in. I'm crying out loud. Right, that one's in. So what I'm going to try and do there is put a screw in. Just take that tension out. And then I can put. Still haven't done. That one's popped back out. Find that right. This one's popped back out of there. That's gone back in now. Cool. Okay. Right. Make sure nothing's gone under that plate, that underneath that. That actually went under the metal. So it went under the metal, which is not the easiest to do. Right, I've got that one's a guide and this one's a guide. Is that jumped out? I think we're good there. That's now in. Cool. Is that in? That's not in. That's in. That's in. Cool. I'm going to keep it where it is. Now I can put screws in. Jesus. Right. That is mad. I'm just going to nip them. Just not so tight. Just going to literally just loose. Just ever so. Just a quick little nip. I can tighten it up after. But now we've got both belts in. Where the other one actually went all the way under, which it wasn't ideal. And I didn't really want it to go under. So I'll try and poke that belt out now. Right, before I do that, actually, is that actually gone under? Right. The issue I might have, that belt, the top part of the belt, right, I've got that, that's got to go over the top. So I've got to take the big belt out, the big belt's got to come out first. Right. This is where the other part of that belt is. So this is going to be really, really tricky here. I've got, this is the big belt. What I've got. David. Let me turn it down. Right. That's it. Because otherwise it's just going to disturb me. And I've got enough to be trying to concentrate with. Right. That big belt looks like it is now. I've got to now try and grab that and place it over the big belt system. but we have got all of them in the slots. So I've got that one. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 of them have gone in, right? Got these 3 in. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them in. That's all now slotted, right? The wheel, this is the top part of the belt. It's now got to go under, right? Before I do anything, it's got to go under and the other one's got to go over. Now this is where it's going to get really tricky, because now I've got to try and squeeze that belt without breaking. There's hardly no room on that at all. So this is the headache I've now got, but I'd rather have this headache than trying to reline all this back up, because this is what's given me the nightmare scenario. I've got to try and get that under, and then the other one will be over. So what I've got to try and do is hold one end over, then I can pinch it over. I think that might be my best bet. So again, right. Let me see if I can just try and loosen these two up. I know I might have to take them back off, but these two, I've got to lift it up because I won't get this over. It's got to go under that. It's got to go under that thing. So I'm going to have to lift this up, which is going to give me an headache. It's the only way I can do it. It's got to go under that belt, underneath that track. Once I get it over it, because it's, again, this belt is so thin, you'll snap it. Like I said, the difficulty level on this, virtually, it'll be off the scale, which I already knew this was going to be the case. This was just to get a belt, 2 belts onto this system. The difficulty is very, very difficult to do. This is not for the faint-hearted, and you have to be really careful not to cut the belt, pinch it too much, or rip it, because there's no room. Once you've got it under, it ain't so bad, but you still got to lift it up, because you have to lift this up to get it onto the system. So you're still going to have the same problem, but you'll get rid of the big issue that this has got at the moment. Because what it is, you've got to have a belt that goes over this direction, and then the underneath belt then goes into the opposite direction to turn this side. So you've got to lift this up to a certain degree to actually get that small belt on, which, like I said, is not the easiest to do. So you've got to try and guide the bottom part for it not to be affected with the big part. So you've got to get that on first, and then the big belt on after. Yeah, imagine the works involved, the interlace that you've got with this. Like I said, it's not for the faint-hearted on this, but you can do it. You just got to persevere, and just, it's all about I've got to try and grab that big belt at the same time to keep it away from the small belt. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to try and grab that big belt. So what I want to do is, if I bring that big belt up like that, that then keeps this, the big belt out of the way, and then I can squeeze the small belt on. I think this is how I've done the last one. Oops, over the bloody spring. Of course it would. Right. You've got no room on here. No. Right, I think I'm near enough there. So I've got to keep the top belt out of the way. Hold up. So you've got to grab this belt, pull that down. That's then got to go over like that, which then brings this down. That then has to be pulled over in that direction, and then I can, because I've got the big belt sort of tied up out of the way. Right, I've got to try and move this up and squeeze it over to this system now, which is, this is what's going to give me the headache. So I've got to try to then move that over. Right, so I've got to move this over this side. After I've got it clamped over there, it's got to go under like that. Right, that goes under, so it's tucked on that side. My God. I've got to try and hold that side and that side to hook it over. This is why you need torches. Right, that's on there. Is it on at the bottom? I haven't even done the big belt yet. I've got to get the small belt on first. No, the small belt's jumped off. Of course it would. So what I've got to do now is try and grab some tweezers and slot it over. You might have to use 2 pairs of tweezers just to try and get that over. Now I've got to get that belt. This is just one belt, but this is the most belt that's going to give me the headache. Right, take these ones out. Right, they come out. That has to go over. Once I've got that one, then I can do the big one. This one is the most difficult. Without trying not to break the belt at the same time. It's caught, part of it's caught underneath, which is not helping the situation because you've got 2 belts to negotiate with. So what I've basically done, right, what's done this is that one belt is over the other, but what's actually happened, one belt's got caught up and knotted, so now one can't move because you're trying to get one belt on there, and like you said, it's not the easiest to try and do. So yeah, that's exactly what's actually happened. That belt is actually knotted itself, but I've managed to unknot it. So that has to go at the top like that. and we're on that front, and that one's over. So what I need to do now is, now that one's over there, is now I can bring it back over and bring it under. Bring that one under, right? Bring that one under there. Bring that one under there. Christ almighty, how the heck have I managed to pull that off? It's pulled on there. It's pulled on that side. That one's... I have done it. Seriously, I've done it. But that's not easy. It's, you know, like I said, I've managed to pull that off because you're what you're trying to do, you're getting where the belt pulls in one direction here, you've got to get the bottom belt on to go in that direction. So you've got one going here, one going there. And then the trouble is, the belts were overlapping each other. What actually happened, one got knotted underneath, it twisted and stopped it from going up. So, but lucky enough, I pulled that off. So I've got one going over there now, which is now got to go literally over the top of this, and then I'm back over. But I have managed to pull that off. And that's not the easiest thing to try and pull off at all. But I've got to pull that back. It's obviously... You've got to try and keep your tension and keep everything straight at the same time, reasonably straight. So you've got to go for a guide. One's got to go for a guide. One's got to go at the bottom. Yeah, it worked this out really well here. Definitely, most definitely. Big O, how you doing, my friend? I've had a absolute headache of actually trying to reel to reel. Yes. So the issues that I had with this previous, I had some multiple issues with this. One, that the capacitor blew, which I changed. I tried to replace some belts, and the belt situation on this is absolutely complicated. It's a 3-belt overlap system. The complex is, and I checked online, it doesn't help because you don't want to take all of this top plate off because you've got all of these guides to go back in. But what's complicated about with this is just that you've got a big, obviously, platter wheel here that sits underneath the transformer, right? And this is all live. You don't want to switch this on. I've already got buzzed once. I nearly lit up like a Christmas tree. Lucky enough, I was earthed out and I managed to pull away. So you don't want to switch this on when you're doing it. So I put one belt on. The most issue that I'm having at the moment, which is the most complicated out the lot, you've got this gap to work with, right? Now, in amongst here, you'll get even less gap once this sandwich is in. It narrows down even more. So you've got to get a 2-belt system on a pulley system that overlaps the belts. So the issue that I ended up having is one belt on here went this direction, and then I've got another belt going that direction on the same wheel. So you've got a top and a bottom. And then the downside to that is that you've got to put the bottom one on and then put the top one on. But you can't do that. You have to get them in because trying to get it through a guide pin, and these have to be sitting through wheels and gaps and everything. It all talks itself up. But like I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, this is a 20 plus. It's off the scale. It's so complex to work. These reel to reels are not the easiest to do, and this is just changing a belt. I mean, like you said, changing belts on these things. I've done multiple belt repair like issues as changing them. I had an Alki and a Sony reel to reel. Exactly the same issue. It was even more complicated than this, and this is quite complicated to try and navigate round because you haven't got much room. I've managed to get this belt on. I've got to straighten this up, but the belt seems a bit loose on the other side. It doesn't seem great, but it was the correct belt for the system. on that, but this is where I'm up to. So the point that I've got is that I've got to actually do that. So yeah, fiddly. It's a challenge. It's a challenge, brother. It's a challenge. It will push you. I did do it 7 months ago, and it sat in that corner for well over 7 months. So, and you've got to get it before you even close all this up, because if you don't, you're not going to get it. You're not going to be able to do it. So, yeah, you've got to get this over first, because this closes the gap up once you've selected and put everything into place. You need another pair of hands while you're also trying to do, slip the belt on, because you've got these type of slippages where you've got the notches. But the bottom one I've done, pulled it off. I don't want to touch this any further, because this will pop out and then I'll have the same issue. Now I've got to try and guide the belt. Oh, so bottom first, top after. And I've just spent the last hour putting it all on, and then I couldn't find the second belt, and then I looked closer, and it all had to come back off again. So yeah, not the easiest thing on that. I did on your Discord. I did upload your tracking information on your, my friend. So by all means, keep an eye. I've done it 48-hour tracks at the end of it, so should be an interesting fix. Yeah, no, that's a pain. Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying. All channels are different, and where I'm dealing with mainly all retro is not. It's not like modern compliances where you just look for a short, maybe a chip capacitor, or things like that. Mine, I think retro is more complicated, is because when you get things like mechanical, this is all made out of metal, and metal, when you're taking out guides and things, I would say it then pushes it beyond the point where it's really difficult, because they're sprung loaded. You've got to make sure the guides, I mean, you've got to fit 4 guides for this to sit flush, which I've done it quite a few times. I've sort of learned its way around the system. And this is only changing the belt. I'm not even repairing it, it's just changing the belt. But the difficulty level is a 20 plus. It's not the easiest to do, because you're having this issue of the guidance. It's all about guidance and trying to. So you need you need to put one bit at one end, hold it down, guide it through, and then you need another pair of hands to try and push this bit in, push that guide in, and then trying to hold that down while you're getting a belt. So yeah, I have a lot of retro stuff. I've got to put a couple of other photos in the Discord, in the chat, for you to see. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, and this is what I said to you. You know, when I was saying to you about when you was in your live stream, I was around my mum's, because I wasn't at work today, and I took this, and I kid you not, I'll open it up so you can see it on a bigger phone, right? I did manage to take a picture of my bike, which I did say, if I go to gallery, and I don't know if it's car 4. He actually said that about his bike, but the actually that goes up on here, right? I've managed. I'll upload it. I'll put it on Discord, right? 41. I actually managed to get it up to 41, nearly 42 mile an hour. That's my push bike. You know what I've done, the mod to it. So what I've done, I took the wheel off, but 42 mile an hour. And I've got rubber brake at the front and a disc brake at the back. So yeah, that's absolutely a nightmare to try and do, but it's so quick, you don't want to end up. So 41 mile an hour on a rubber pad on the front is not ideal. Sort of like living life on the edge on that front. But yeah, to me, that's a 5 kilowatt motor. I took a 2 kilowatt motor and slung a 5 on, and put a 20 amp battery on, 20 amps on there, 20 amps. That's, which is enough on there. I think the other one was a 10 amp. I've upgraded it to a 20 amp. I was going to put a 50, but the battery wouldn't fit. But a 20 amp just about fitted it. and then put a 5 kilowatt motor on the back of it. Yeah, it's rapid. It's really quick. I only use it occasionally because it's life scary on that front. But yeah, but that's actually quite funny. I haven't got around to do it. I thought I was running my mum's. Let's do a quick video and I'll show you how quick it goes. I had to map it up because the wheel was going like manic to try and get round. But yeah, frightening, absolutely frightening. But I can keep up with traffic on that one. But so yes, so getting back to this is the issue I've got at the moment, and it's come off again. Am I not surprised that's come off again? So I've got to try and squeeze that over. Right, is that over? Can I call you mister? Yes. Right, we're good that front, right? So now I've got to try and guide this back. So I've got to pull these guides back. So, cool. This is like, so like I said, this has been sitting in the corner of the living room, chilling out. Actually, to try and actually, I thought, well, I'll get round it one day, I'll finish it off. Because it done my head in. It literally done my head in that much to try and sort this out. So now I've got to get the guidance, and hopefully that does not come back off again. So I've got top and bottom guide to put in. It's a challenge. That's what we love. We love a challenge. We do love a challenge. So I've got to be careful here because I don't want to, pop the belt back out. Otherwise, I'm going to have an headache here. Right. I'm talking about headaches. I've already got one. Jesus. Right. Hold up. Because that's not guided in. So that's, of course not. Because that's out of guidance. So I'll guide that in. I've got to guide that one in. So it's about 4 guides I've got to put in. 4. Got to make sure that's slotted in there. Right. So we're nice and taut on that side. That's not guided in there. Right. So I've got to guide that piece in. Oh my god. Right, hold up. That's got to go in. That's not guiding that way. Holy smokes. Why the friggin' hell is that not going in that front? Yeah, 41 mile an hour is frightening. You don't want to go any quicker. I wanted to see them belts. I'm back from the smoke. All right. Yeah. So yeah, them belts. Yeah. The issue I'm having now is I've got the belts where I want them. Right. The one's got to go over. Let me try and show you. I'm going to try and guide you through. Right. And this is the complex. This is how complicated just changing a belt on a reel to reel. And this apparently on the scale of one of literally of trying to put belts on, this is supposed to have been easy, and already been on it the stream for what, over an hour, and already and I'm still running into issues. So there's a guide. You've got a guide underneath here, right? So what you've got to try and do is, this is a guide that goes over into here, that goes then onto this selection on the brass wheel. You put that on last, but you've got to get the guide on first that goes underneath here, right? So you've got to get that guide, then that has to go right at the bottom onto that. And then you've got to try and hold this out of its way while you guide that in first. But you've got to get both belts on, but you can't, obviously, you can't put it, because once this closes up, this closes this top part of the gap. You will not have a gap here. It will be near enough touching. So you've got to make sure, and once you've done that, then you've got to go through all the guide pins, right? Now I've got to put all this back. Now, obviously, there's 4 guide points here that's got to go in. So I've got to do this one, this one, this one, and this one. While you're lining this up, you're not touching none of this. So I've had to put 2 in, just enough. You've got to leave a little bit of a gap, because otherwise, if it's too tight here, you can't move it up here. There's no wiggle room. While you're trying to navigate with your belts, trying to put it on. and this is supposed to be the most easiest to do. Yes, I can assure you it's not. You know, it's for the it's really a challenging moment. But again, it's all about understanding, and this is again because it's more mechanical wise, and I love anything to do with mechanics, and especially vintage stuff. I absolutely love it. I love to understand what causes and why, you know, what makes this run. I mean, obviously, this puts me in the mind of back in the early days when things were mechanical like this, because you could actually see a moving part like an old record player at the end of it. It's not like a modern component, well, even though you've got modern components at one end, but you can physically see if an arm was like the old VCRs, like you know the old VCRs had metal components. That's why there was like bricks at the end of it. But again, everything had to line up. But if you followed it carefully, you could physically see where it did go. But when you start having plastics, which they did put in the 1980s, they started putting components on metal, plastic on metal, and what actually happened, it just sheared off the plastic ring, and then it stopped its guidance, and then things started, the tapes jammed up, you know, and we had all types. Because I had the Philips 2000, it was a reverse, it was the first recordable, because it was a really weird cassette tape. The cassette tape was really big, but you used to just flip it over and record both sides. That was the Philips 2000. Again, mechanical, absolute beast of a system, right? It must have weighed over 10 pounds in weight, how big it was, because there was a lot of metal in it. Obviously, then you had the Betamax in 1960. I think the Betamax came out in 68, 69. You know, something like that. They did bring a Betamax out, or it might have even been early 70s. I'll have to do a bit of research and think on that. And then obviously after Betamax, there was a trade war between Betamax and VHS, a bit like DVD and Blu-ray when they was battling it out with each other. So obviously, you know, Betamax lost, VHS won, and then probably later on down the line, DVD came out. You know, so obviously VHS has then got phased out. I still got my VHS recorder. It's an Alki. Still works. I'm amazed it still works, but yeah, it still works. I got it in a cupboard. So I won't get rid of it because again, it's collector's piece. It fits right into what I'm normally doing. But yeah, absolutely. But this, obviously, this being German, um, I haven't got a clue of its origins on this. I mean, again, German stuff is well built, but the mechanics are exactly the same regardless the make. It would have still, even the Sony and the Alki that I had, that I sold and repaired and sold for the hospice. Obviously this is exactly the same thing. The idea was the same, you know, the complex of it, but it was just more complicated to put belts on. Where one took 4 belts, this takes 3 belts. So you've got to try and get 3 belts on one. I've only had to get 2 belts on, and this is giving me an headache already. So this is a prime example of what you're up against on here. So now I've just got to go through and guide this in, and this is the point where I've got to, and it's not, and it's literally not having any of it to try and guide me back, put this back into right. I've got the bottom part, I've just got to get the top part on, but obviously there's something stopping this going on. It just don't feel, there you go. So I've got it here. So right, there was a guide pin, right? So again, exactly the same thing, guide there. You know what it is? Because it has to sit into this. So you've got to move that wheel ever so slightly to try and guide that in like that, right? I've just heard that click. So what I'm going to do now is put one on them, right? And that will take up that gap, which I've just said earlier on, and I'll show you. So you've got to hold it down. So make sure that that's guided into the wheel pin there. So you've got a shaft there, it's got to sit into that. Then you've got to try and guide these in. Obviously, I've not done this one yet, which I will do now. The bottom part of the belt is now on to this. That's the most crucial part. I put all this back and then I realised, well, where's the other belt go? I couldn't find it. again, not the easiest to try and work out. I looked closely and I went, I don't believe it's all got to come back out again. Oh, you crying out loud. I mean, unbelievable. Right, so I've obviously got to put the platter wheel in, which I can do that last. We've got the belt system up here. Now, this is what I'm saying about earlier on. Right, now look now. You know what I was saying earlier on about the gap is now closed. So you have now not got a gap up here to try and get that belt under. So you have to do what I've done there to stop that belt. But otherwise, you will not. You need to pull that belt out to actually go it over the top of here. But obviously, got to make sure this it's guided. So you've got to make sure that guide pin goes through. There's multiple things that you've got to do. But looking at that now, that is now spot on to where I want it. Not the easiest, but we've got there. The main thing is, the only thing is, I've got to now put, this one's out of alignment. So I've got to put that guide pin back in. That front, because it's now not guided in. So I've still got one guide out. One. But by loosening that out on this side, hopefully, I ain't got to take it all the way out. I've only just got like that. So that is now guided. Cool. Right, now the fun begins, because now I've got to try and to get the wheel over. So with what you don't realise with a lot of these, let me show you. Right, you've got a hook here, right? And I've learnt these over the past. So basically, this hook here, when you're putting the belt on, hook it over here. And what this does, this puts tension when you're bringing the wheel over. So when you're putting it around the wheel, around that big spinning platter, that then brings it enough tension to thinking, right, that's it, it's not going to go anywhere. And you'll be able to get it onto the right section now. So that's what most of them little hooks are for. But they don't tell you that. You work that out as you go along. Oh. Okay, I'm back. So, oh, did it cut out? Oh, that's a bloody pisser. Right, so I've got to try and hold this one up here, right? So I'm going to put one hand up here, so guide this up, cool. And then what I'm going to do is bring this one in. And you've got to do all of this without breaking your belt. Like I said, not for the faintest of hearted on here. It's obviously not. But you can do it. It is doable. 100% it's doable at the end of the day. So, what I've done there, right? Again, little trick. It's the little tricks. If you ever do get a reel-to-reel, these little notches, use them to your advantage. So what I normally do is I hook one over on one side of the belt, so you're stretching the belt anyway, because you'll have a little bit of play in it, and then I can then get it at the back of the wheel, because you need to take tension. Once I've got that is now guided, so I've got all the guide now right up to here. So if I now put that over and take that off, that is now all I need to do now is take that off that hook and put it on. But it's not the greatest, because like I said, I still think that wheel, that belt is not the right belt. I personally feel that belt is too loose. It's just too loose. It's not taking any of the slack up at all. We've got this one on, but it's obviously not taking anything up here. So the only thing I'm going to try and do on this one is flip it over, right, and knot it back to itself. I was saying that, now it's bloody come off. But that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and knot it and put it back. So it's like a twin loop system. I think that, and yet this is the right belt for it. But I think obviously the belt, and I've had an absolute headache with this trying to get these bloody belts on. Not the ideal, like you said, these are not the easiest belts to actually try and put onto these systems. That's, I mean, like most of these things always ain't. Now, you know that I said to Chatfix about copyright, right? Now, which is ridiculous, right? Now, the point that I've got with YouTube's algorithm, right? Now, you can play royalty-free music, right? Which I'm playing in the background, right? Play absolutely royalty-free music on the front of it. So actually, if I go into display, it's actually royalty-free, right? So that's royalty-free playing in the background. I uploaded a video on one of the other videos. It's still flagged up, right? That's how stupid the system is. It actually still flagged up as copyright material. How the heck can that come up copyright when it's royalty free and you actually see it? They're playing it on YouTube, it doesn't get flagged up at the end of it. I still posted it, I uploaded it. I thought, it's broken. It's got to be broken. Seriously, I mean, they're giving you stuff that it comes from YouTube and it still comes up copyright. It's it's royalty free means that it's free to play to distribute so long as you're not reselling it. You know you're putting it in your stream. Chatfix has these, and he says he don't get nothing. But on mine, as soon as I upload it, it says you've got copyright material. It's absolutely bonkers. I've never seen anything like it. Seriously, it's mad. So I thought I think personally it's broken. You know, and you won't be able to talk to these type of people because you're just talking to a machine. You can't have it like that. I personally think they've given me this belt is not the correct belt. I've really got a bad feeling about this. The other belt's fine, but this belt is far too loose and it just does not feel right at all. Just does not feel right. It's just a tad bit loose on it. And there's nothing for it else for it to sit on that front because I cannot see any other guide for that to sit on. It doesn't sit anywhere else. The bottom one's fine. It's just the top one is a no-go. The top belt. And this is the issue I've got. So it's still going to have an issue when I power this up. And I think that belt that they give me for this, and even though it was the correct belt for me, looking at the model, it should not be that. You shouldn't have that amount of play. This is apparently new, old stock on that front. come off again because the belt's loose. Of course it is. It's what I say to you're going to be there for the month of Sundays trying to put this on this system here. So I think even changing this belt, which has put up a right challenge, it's really put up a challenge. But I don't think this belt is going to be, I don't think this is the right belt for the system itself. I just can't see it myself. Got the clearance there. There ain't nowhere else for it to go underneath. It just can't go anywhere else. Take the slack up. Can't see it. I mean, it's correct. You're sitting down the line of where this needs to sit. So you can actually see it, look. So where the brass bit is right down the bottom, obviously that is the spinning platter side. So you've got to go all the way down to actually fit that in, right? Which it is. It's on top. I've took the tension out of it. And then it sort of curves around and then it goes through the cutout, which is, the cutout is right in between this bit here. You can actually see where the wheel, where it cuts through, and then it gets to that orange sort of wheel bit itself. So it is, like I said, I have got it right. It's just that the wheel is just, it seems too slack. I mean, physically it is on, but the wheel's just too slack. You can actually see it. Let me show you. Watch this wheel. Got too much slack in the actual belt itself. But it is now turning. So I've done that correctly. I've got it into where I need to be, which I'm going to just quickly plug it in. And I've got to be careful here because the metal chassis is earthed out, so you can easily get lit up quite easily. But it should be all right as long as I keep away from that transformer from the bottom. The transformer that's giving me the headache. Because you touch that, you will get a buzz from it because it's just live going through. She is now on. I don't know if we got a light or anything. I don't know if the bulb's even gone. We should normally have a light on. So, oh, I forgot. Well, I'll put the roller back in. Metal roller with a pin. Right. Selectors in. That's in. No. We got no power. I think I know why. I think I know why I've got no power. If I remember correctly, there's a selector underneath there, and I bet that guide pin that I took out through this is not making the connection. And I'm correct. It is. So it's got to go. It's this here. So I'm going to have to take this out and select it in. Right, take that out. Now I won't be touching this because it's normally live. But I'm pretty sure that pushes against the pins. Or does that go? I think it might have to go up. I know it goes one of these ways. I know it's one of these. I think one pushes down. I still think that's wrong. That might have to go in between. I think it goes in between. It's just trying. Because it has to connect. One puts power to one side. Let's try. I think it's something to do with that. Because it's coming off from all of these wires on here. Oh, I mean the guide pins come off as well. Hold up. Hold up. Now the picture's frozen. Yeah. How did I know the picture was going to be frozen? Right. We're off again with the camera. Lovely. Get back on. Cool. We've got that selector. There's a selector that's got to go on this and all, if I remember correctly, which is probably going to go. I think that selector goes. I did see where that selector went before, and that selector went somewhere. I'm pretty sure the selector went underneath here. Because again, it was part of this guide. Complications. It's always complications. So I think that did, because that makes contacts there. Yeah, that's right there, I think, because it sits in between. We've got the wires coming out. So have a look, make sure I've got audio. Yeah, we got audio. We're good. But the guide pin is another. This is another selection, and it did come up from the top. If I remember correctly, didn't it go? Oh, well, I did see where this actually went. I don't know if it went from underneath. We had a selector underneath here at the end of it. But for the time being, let's just try it again. Sorry. Let's switch on. Nothing. We normally should we should have had power. Right. So obviously, so it's still not right. No, it's done the camera again. Every time I seem to be power related, it kills the power to the camera. Which is weird. Yes, we're back on. Right, okay. So, because this ain't been booted up for so long, and that's all for the sake of trying to get, you know, belts. But I'm still concerned about that belt because it is not obviously, it's not turning. And this is turning that system, but it's not spinning on this front, because if that was spinning on there, that wouldn't spin. It's too loose. So I still think it's got a belt related problem anyway. So that obviously I'm gonna have to contact them and say to them the belt is obviously too loose for this model. But we still got no power, which is, I'm surprised, because again, putting power, this I think that's where that is. That where that goes? Let's have a look. Let's spin it round. So I'm gonna have a look. It's obviously not getting power from the switch, and I think that's what this guide thing is. There's a guide here that actually pushes it. It's like a switching system. Yeah, it's a new belt or the original ones. For some reason, that is obviously not the correct belt. That will not. It's obviously just spinning. I mean, the bottom one, fine. This one, fine. So, because the one I ordered, I'll show you the picture of the one I ordered. If I go into eBay, exactly, you can actually see the picture. It's actually the exact same picture as this model. So it's the exact same model as what this is. So at the end of the day, switch, it's got all the selectors. So it's a TK146. Belt was £15.99 and 99 postage. It's new old stock, basically. That's what it reads on the description. If it goes, scroll it down, and it actually does say, where was it actually? Yeah, we are. Old new stock, usually made for old materials. So they're new belts as you put them on. Yeah. But obviously that belt is slightly too big for this system. And it's the exact same one on that model. So I'm going to run into a problem now at the end of it. But we've still got this switch system because it's not powering on. So obviously, that's motion at front door. But not my front door, it's probably my mum's. The trouble is, obviously, this is not powering on. It's getting voltage to the rest of the board. So it's obviously switch part of the problem. That this, obviously, I'm pretty sure this went down from the front. Like, I know it goes up here somewhere, as I remember. But I forgot where it actually come off, because like you said, trying to find the schematics for this is really difficult. This is for your RPM. Hold up, let me move the camera. You can see, otherwise you won't be able to see what I'm doing. So obviously I've got a turning point here, on here, but obviously power is not being pushed down power goes in onto the switch here. So power's going into that, straight into the back here. I haven't blown any fuses. Actually, that's a good point. I didn't check the fuses. It's got three systems here. I've left it on 240. This is 110 or 240. Left it on there. Fuses look alright to me, they're not blown. Can't see it. No, they're absolutely fine. Not blown. So, them ports look a bit bloody crusty. Mind you, I've never tried them, to be totally honest. On this front, but obviously with this system, I'm sure this come up here somewhere. Actually did, but I can't remember on that front. Are you sure that there's not the belt tensioner? Because I thought there was on the reels. Well, that's what I thought. That I mean, normally belt tensioners there is normally a belt tensioner on reel to reels. That's what I was more concerned, because that shouldn't be. It still looks like that has to hook around something, and I can't physically, the top of my head, I can't physically see anything that's related to belt tension. It's got any belt tension on that at all. It fits around the guide, which slots through the hole. I can't see anything else unless I've missed something out, and I can't see it. There's nothing at the top here, nothing. So that's set correctly. Now I've done that. And then it's got to be at the front. It's got to sit up this way. So something's got to take it out to actually where that takes that tension, the remaining tension out of the belt. I haven't put the springs onto this. There's springs on there that's got to go on this. So it's really sprung related. So it can sort of like on there. But that ain't going to help the belt. That's nothing to do with the belt system. I mean, I can see it there where I've took the spring out where it's got to go to. But what about the rest of the remaining with the with the belt? Because like you said, you shouldn't have that amount of gap in the. You shouldn't have that amount of gap in a belt, and that's what I'm just trying to look for. I thought I can't physically see any gap where that belt sits into. You know, there's nothing behind here that actually. It's again the tension on it. It's like you said. As soon as you close that plate, there ain't nothing. I thought it would have. I thought it might have gone round something else. I thought it might have gone down further down there or something. The belt might have to go round, but there ain't. There's nothing. Because once the spring from the back of that, it's sprung up here, nothing else to take that out. I think it's just, I've done it correctly. I just think that belt is just way too, it's just too loose. It's near enough there, but you can physically see it. You can actually see the amount of tension. That belt should not be having that type of issues. Literally, should not be doing that. As soon as this is under tension, I know what's going to happen. This is going to slip because there's no tension in it. So the underneath the belt is done correctly, because that turns that. I mean, when you turn this one, it's turning both, but this one turns fine. You can actually physically see it turning. So that's not the problem. But that one, no. I mean, if I put that one on that big one, on that, again, it was too big. So this was the correct one because it went around the biggest wheel going. But that to me is going to struggle. And already I can see the amount of slack that's got. Should not be having that amount of slack on. So uh, I'm gonna. That's the only snag that I'm gonna run into. Yeah, yeah. You have looked at Google and see if there was a tensioner. No, I haven't. I've not looked at Google. Let me have a quick look. The TK, what is it? 146. Grundig TK 146 belt tensioner. Shopping images. Let's have a look. Hold up. Let's come up. Let's have a quick look. Come up Grundig. Belt diagram. Now that's interesting because I've got a picture up here, and I was correct that I've timed that up rightly. I have done that, so it doesn't go up here. This is for the TK 120, 125, the 140, and the 145. So again, exactly the same thing with the tensioners, with the belt system. You can actually see. Oh, so looking at the belt system on there, I was right where I've got this. It goes round the bottom. The bottom one goes. The bottom one has to go on first, then the top one goes round after, and it has to go through that centre wheel, which is done, and then obviously the one underneath is on. That's your free belt system. There's no tensioner. So I personally think again the issue is this belt is overstretched. It's just way overstretched. It's new old stock, but it's probably overstretched. I'm not doubting it's not. It's the correct belt because the others fitted fine at the end of the day. Didn't have a problem. But that's an issue with the belt alone. So regardless that I can't do much with it because again the belt is not gripping. It's virtually near enough coming off. So you know, like you said, trying to fit a belt onto this is I'm going to be wasting my time continuing going any further. It's because that belt's going to have to. I mean, I can near enough. I can put a whole. I can actually yeah. Look, it's just virtually near enough fell off. I mean, there's not going to be much tension for that not to grip at the end of the day. I mean, that gripped. That one gripped fine. The bottom one gripped fine. It's the top one. It's not gripping at all. We should be back. Sorry, bud. It's the that's these cheap TikTok microphones. At the end of the day, I had to buy an adapter on that front. Let's put it back up there. No sound. We should have sound. There you go. Back up, money. Yeah. Look at that service manual. Wow. Back there. Looking at this, that is one complex of a diagram on that front, and that's impressive. The amount of it's just shown you where most of these. This looks like circuitry. Is this the TK222? Oh right, I can't use this manual. It's the TK models. It's the 242, 246, and 248. It's a service manual. I'm pretty sure. I don't think this is the TKs. It's just a Grundig. Hold up. Let's have a look on the back. We got anything on the back of it? Acton. No, it's just German. Yeah, look, I didn't even notice that. Bloody hell. They even give you a spare glass fuse. How long's that been in here? I've never seen that in these old systems. I mean, it goes to say Acton. I'm worried about a German throwing a grenade over. What's yours? I'm pretty sure it is. I'll tell you exactly what it is because I did bring it up into me eBay listing. This is a TK 146. Type it in a make and model. I thought that looked a bit complex. I thought, no, that looks overcomplicated to me. I thought it is the one. TK 146. Yeah, TK 146. And that does look like it. That looks to me when you look at this and look at that, because there's no model on here. You can't tell. There's literally no model. It doesn't tell you. Typical of German stuff. They don't even put a bloody model number on. So you've got to go buy a picture. It's not even at the front. It just says Grundig. But looking at this looks identical to what I've got. You've got the bit at the top, the bit at the centre, the 3 bits, the Grundig, which is the symbol at the front. This is the exact same one. The on and off, your trick and your manual. Yeah, it's all an automatic. This is the exact same one. It's the exact same model. So it's the TK146. But the belt's overstretched. Unbelievable. So I'm gonna be screwed. Discord. I'll have a look in Discord. Yeah, you just sent one over. Let's have a look. TK146. Visit site. That's the one. What we got. What's up with this? I don't know what's happened here when we hold up. Let's hold the phone up. No. Fucking phone's gone screwed, Louis. For some reason I can't. I've got half a picture. Oh, here we go. No, I don't know why it's doing that. Let's open it up. See if I've got to make. Oh. Right. Well, that's interesting. So the Grundig. No, that's the CDs. Well, there's really not a lot on there. It's only a 2-page document. First page just tells you about the radio. It's made by R. Hudson. No, it's not really saying a lot. And then the second page document, the Grundig TK146 SMFR, FR means French, it's all in French, is a manual. Just tells you can plug into, looking at here, you can plug in a microphone, a mono mixer. Wow, that's about it. Doesn't help the situation. Yeah, if you scroll right down the bottom, there's some links from the forums, etc. Right, okay. Let's have a look. So let's come out. Go down to right. Right, so the 2K. I'm not a robot. Stairs. Why do you fuck about with selecting all the stairs? Please try again. You do the cat, you know, the literally the things on there, but you click search now, and then it just takes you back to, and then you've got a bloody big box stuck right in the way of the advertisement. Who thought that was a great idea? Right, the Grundig RCD 14 done. Grundig. No, there's nothing on here. You've got similar models, similar manuals. Sorry, similar manuals is going to be for the CP 1401, 1402. Let's go on a similar document. Again, it's not really helping. That's just again on the Grundig CP CD page side. That's a pisser. I'm thinking. Thanks, Pico. Thanks for having a look, though. I mean, appreciate it. I mean, the main thing is, I'm thinking that I've got that right. I think I've set that right. If you, yeah, it's just under the manuals. I did look at that. Well, we've got a blank screen there. Download your user manual. Yeah, you went past it. Right. Download the ebook. Yeah, you mean about this page here? Which is these ones here. Because these ain't nothing to do with it. I've already clicked on these. No. Right, okay. So again, on here, the Grundig, that one's a radio. It's all in German. Relevant audio from topics. Translate this page. Yeah, keep going. Right, okay. Unless it's up the top here. It says Grundig SMR. It's actually coming up. Category Audio Service Manual. Just under the green button. Right, yeah, I thought it was. Which is under here. If you get stuck repairing your device or applicants, you can download the repair for help to see below. You click download. Well, let me click on it. Looking for similar groups for manuals. which is this one here. This is the correct manual for it, but obviously download free of charge. There's a client error. Go back to your download page. Under the manuals, there's two green buttons just under there, and Texas has some link. That's what I thought it was. Yeah, it says it underneath here, which is underneath right this section here with this small writing. If you get stuck with repairing your device or applicants, click download. This repair information will help. See below. Good luck in your repair. If you do not offer the download file sent, use it as a personal reference. But it won't let you click on the link. Absolutely nothing. That's just an ebook. That's obviously clickbait. There ain't nothing else. That won't let me down. It won't let me click on that at all. Absolutely won't let me click. It comes up here. You can download free of charge. It says right here. Oh, hold up. It says, if you have any questions in the internet, click on your message board and click up there. Send in the relevant reforms warning. Which is ridiculous because, you know, how are you supposed to download it if it won't let you download it? Then you'll see a box with the green buttons under it. Yeah, I've got to where the green boxes are, which is here. So if I click download on that front, it comes up to this page and it says client error, download not possible. Click to the download page and refresh it. Right, so they give you stuff on. Oh, we are downloading in progress. Starting download in notifications. There you go. Right, brilliant. Let's give me. Now we've got some. Yay! What is up with tech? This is what I hate about technology, right? They give you a bloody fucking thing to download, and then what do they say? No, you can't download it. You know, what's the bloody point in that? Right, good. We've got somewhere. Let's go into. It's all in French, unfortunately. Why does that keep fucking on? I bet that's in orientation. It is. Bloody orientation mode. Really? Come on, guys. What's going on? Now it's upside down. It's what? The page is 1 minute. What is who's manufactured that? A page upside down, then the page the right way, then the page upside down. What's going on with the pages? What did they yeah, I sent you a screenshot. Right, okay, bud. Who uploaded that? They want shooting. Right, let's go. Let's go out of that for a minute. Fucking Mickey Mouse. Seriously? Hold up. Which way is my phone? Oh, it's this way. I don't know what they was playing out there. I really ain't got a clue. Right. Sent a screen image. And the fucking phone's all gone. Pete's on. Right, that's better. Turn that off. Right. Right. So basically, the image that we've got on here, right? This is the Grundig 140. If you have any questions on that, yeah, downloaded the file. I actually did download it. No, to download this file, of course, you need a reader or similar PDF program in addition for the archives for it to be opened. Like Chrome or Firefox, you just got to give it your best. Yeah, I did download it, which I have got. Let's go back to gallery. Alright, that's not going to be in that file now. It's probably going to be into. It's going to be in here, isn't it? So let me go into my files. Here's the Grundig file. So we're in the file, right? This is the file. But 1 minute it's upside down, then it's the right way. So we're in. This is the file that I downloaded, right? This is the actually main file. So, you know, how the heck am I supposed to see that? Right. But what they've done, they've put one up, one down. So they put one up one side and one that side. which is interesting because we might be able to get to somewhere where we need it. This is the correct manual for it, so I know I've got the right belt. That's taking it. What's up with that stupid thing? 48 pages. What? Wow. Right, so far, that's the belt tensioner. Cool. That's up the wrong way. The only downside is it's all in bloody French. I don't speak a word of French. I could barely speak English. Which is probably not going to help. Into the saying. Yeah, that's a lot of reading. Yeah. I think you're right there at the end of the day. But we might have a little bit of a belt situation here. If I swing that open, you actually see. You can give me a correct a little bit of name. See, look, it's telling you where to pick the belt up from underneath on the tensioner. So it says that if you want to pull the belt, you can pull it from underneath. There's a tensioner underneath there. Not a tensioner, but like an inspection window if you want to pull it on that front, which is right here. Which I've already done that anyway. The issue. I'm trying to look for where that guide bit come. I'm pretty sure that went from the front on that. Right. So we've got I'm so confused because I don't know what direction am I supposed to be going at. Because one minute it's up the right way, then it's sideways, and then minute it's upside down. It's good that it sort of shows you because it can sort of point you in the right direction. It's a complex system. It's a really complex system. It's these like all vintage stuff. It's not easy to try and master because again, I mean, it's good that again I've got all the resistance here of what capacitors and the resistors. There's a lot of resistors on here. I can see a resistor at 5k. There's one at 4.7. The amount of resistors. There's capacitors and resistors. So scattered all over here, which is mainly all on this side, this is what it's reading. It's obviously reading this circuit board. So what it's doing is you're seeing a flat end, but basically laying this way. So trying to get that out of circuitry because there's nothing underneath here. All you've got is just a few connectors where they're just springs and touches. But that's obviously still not helping the situation because I need, see again, schematics of the board, which is the back of this. That's it. So basically, which again it has helped to a certain degree, but not at a full degree. They've not gone in depth of showing you how to replace the belt at the end of it. I mean, all I've got is just an overhead view of basically where these screws are for the top part of the plate, which are these, which are already undone at the end of the day. And again, looking at the belt is correctly how I've put it. The belt is fully in line right where I said it was. So I personally said, where I said, this is what I said to you at the beginning. I reckon the issue that I've got, there ain't no tension on this, right? That belt was supposed to be pre-tensioned on its own. It's supposed to be the correct. But this belt is slightly overstretched. That's going to have to come back off. Because I know what I'm going to say is the belt is the correct belt for this system, which I'll upload some pictures. The secondary belt, fine. The belt for the counter, fine. It's just that the belt for the top part, for the actual machine itself, for the actual the wheel that sits on, is just got too much tension on the side of it. Not too much. It's got too much slack because it's near enough going to pop off. I mean, there's no way that's gripping. You can actually see the amount. It's got nowhere else to go. It's partly gripping it, but not great. Let's have a look on that one. Let's just send another picture. Oh, you got a video. Well done. Is it similar? Why is it? Playing a video on it. It looks similar. Change your belts. Again, looking at it, he's got the same 3-belt system. This is an earlier version of mine, but similar. Because if you look at mine, mine's obviously must be a later model. I've obviously got, I've got graphic equalizer here, which he hasn't got. Oh, what have I done? So basically, very, very similar to what that is, but it's like, but I think there's similarities are there. So again, same thing is what they said in that service manual. You've got what they call a service plate. I think this looks like a service plate. You take the service plate off, it gives you access to the wheel. Stepstow, how you doing, buddy? I think the internet, I think the internals may be similar. I think you're right. I think because there's different variations of these, but he's got the belt out on that one. Now, he took his belt out quite a lot, right? So if that is the case, right? So what he's basically saying, right? It's got the same service section, which is right underneath here, right? That's the service plate, what he's on about. So basically he said you didn't need to touch any of that. All you basically needed to do is pull it off from there, basically, and then thread it through, because that's the service plate. So that is identical, like you said, to get to. But that obviously gives you access right up to the bottom of that wheel, which you can see right up the bottom, right? Obviously, you get to that, but like you said, on different models, even if you took that plate off, right, which will give you, it should give you access. Not it's not great access, but it would give you access to that belt when you take it off. I'll tell you what, let's prove it, right? Because again, in the name of science, because again, it's all about learning about, because they don't tell you none of this stuff. I'm going to take this out. Right. So let's take this out. It's not plugged in, so I'm not going to get a shock. It seems every time I plug something in or something grounds out, it knocks the camera out. Does an Andy moment. Mind you, poor Andy. I don't know. He said he was going to get his shed door looked at. I didn't ask him. Right. So, Jesus. Yes. So he's right. So basically, you can get access to the actual belt itself. So that belt was to go for the back belt for here, right? So obviously that's connected, that goes to the counter, right, up to the top part of the counter here. So this belt system here, right, this one he's on about, basically you can get access to it by pulling it out and obviously putting it back in. That's not the problem, right? So now I know that in future, which is good, because that makes it easier. It still don't tell you to gain access to that big bloody belt that goes to. I mean, I suppose you could do. I suppose you could try and thread it through to go through that point, but it's still not an easy sort of task. I'm going to put them two in there for a minute. Leave them out. Right, leave that out for a minute. But the issue that I still got, the belt is still got too much slack. Obviously, it's good to find that I've got the video, because he's telling you how to actually show you it. So he's going to take the largest belt and see where he puts that belt. So again, he's doing what he said. He's putting it through. Oh, just part. You know, it's enough to, you know, it's enough to drive you into kittens. It definitely is. But again, it looks like I was right. It looks like it just goes round that big platter wheel and straight round that little wheel there. That's it. See, there ain't no tensioner. There you go. So I personally think, right, second belt, and it tells you where the second belt is. And it's obviously got to be dragged over and in under. Yeah. So they're the two most hardest parts to actually put in. So my theories were right. I think personally, I think this belt it's oversized, right? Because it's obviously looking, and the reasons why I show you, if I put this on this side of the belt, well now. So if I look at this side of the belt, you can actually see, if I pull the tension, you can actually see the tension on this side of the belt. Actually see it. So it looks like it's near enough going to jump off, which is not great. And I think that's the trouble. This belt's been overstretched, you know, and it's not by me. I think that's just the way it was manufactured at the end of the day, and it's the correct model because it's the identical one that they had in the picture. And I went, well, then you can't get away with saying, well, that's down to you. That's your error because you ordered the incorrect belt. The other belts fit fine. But the internals, you're right. That video is it's very similar, even though it's a slightly different model. The concepts are the same on that front. So again, I still won't be able to finish this off. I'm still going to be in the same boat. But I have learned something that to get that belt off, he said that you don't need to take all this off. You can get it through to the service plate on that front. But I'm going to have to grease all this up anyway because the grease is virtually all dried on this. This does work. It does work. But again, there's no point me continuing until I get that right belt. I mean, that's why I ordered that belt. I mean, that belt wasn't cheap at the end of the day. I mean, I thought I'll put the right belt on it. Managed to get the belt on, which it was quite tricky to do. He made it look easy. You know, I've been spending the last hour or two trying to get the bloody belts on. Anyway, I've done it, but the belts are, that one belt is just overstretched. Can you see in the video that he put the other belt and it went over the where you wanted to know? Yeah, basically what he said, right? Well, what he said, you don't need to take this off. He said you can do it from that service edge, which is under here. So he said basically you do it all from here. Basically, he said you can do it from that way, but he said it's you can. He put it on. He said it's a little bit tricky, but you can do it. But you need to put the first belt, which is the one from that one first, and do the other one after. So the medium-sized belt first, then the big belt after. But there's no tensioner. It's just down to the belt that it's just down to the way that one belt is. So I was correct. All the other two belts were fine. This one overstretched. And it's a shame because I can't continue without that belt because even if I sorted everything else out, I'm still going to be in the same boat. It's not going to grip this side. It's going to slip or it's just not going to turn because that wheel's going to be putting pressure and that's just going to slip due to the belt. And you can actually see it. It's not gripping. It's got too much movement. So the belt they give me is typical. Everything else I want to try and finish off, and I can't finish off. Something forbids me from finishing it at the end of it. But I have learned a little bit on the inside that I'm going to have to contact them now through eBay and say to them that the belt you give me is not right. It's slightly overstretched at the end of the day. They'll give me a partial refund, or I'll say to them, send me another one out. I need to finish this off. I do need to finish this off. I can't do it. You know, I've got all these parts sitting around, and the parts are holding me up as it is. I'm waiting for the other part there for the record player, which is uh, the Bush one. I've got to wait that now from Spain. So the one part that I need from that, it's got to come from Spain, because I wasn't going to pay £30 for the exact same capacitor to come from America. It's ridiculous. £30. It was £20 in fees and duty taxes. The one part was only £5.99 for the UK, and the rest was importing duty taxes. It was like 15 quid. I thought, what? That's ridiculous. How have they worked that out? Yeah, that's retro. He's never straight. That's retro. This is what I'm saying to you, bud. Regardless that I think the concepts are the same, regardless that there's modern components like you today when I was watching you doing your board, and I'm really glad that you got that up and running, right? That which is a bonus, because it always feels good when it's a bonus. But as like everything else, regardless it's retro or modern, right? Retro has one big Achilles heel with most of it. It's lovely to see, and I do love seeing retro come back to life. But the most biggest negative side to most of all of these parts, you will not get them. You know, parts for that old Bush radio, that record player, obsolete. Can't get them at the end of the day. So now I've got to look very similar as it is. The one voltage for that capacitor that's gone in there, which was 25 volts, 6.4 microfarad. Now I've got to go 35 volt, 6.8. All right, it's slightly, but the voltage is higher, and also the capacitance is slightly higher. I'm just hoping it's going to be all right at the end. It should be. I can't. So you're not going over 2 meg at the end of the day, but it's not ideal. But the part's obsolete. You cannot get it, and it's the same with that downset record player. That capacitor, right? That capacitor where it's three capacitors rolled into one. Again, can't get it, and that's the trouble. And this is what you end up getting with things like this. There's no mechanical parts for this. You can get a belt, but if you try to get like I don't know, if you try to get one of these parts or something like a dial, or good luck. No, you're not going to get it. And this is, you know, me going into the retro gear, into the business, and trying to restore and go back. I'm running into these problems now where they're too old and they're obsolete, and which is a shame because I know what's wrong with it. If I had the part, I could fix it, but obviously I can't because it's obsolete. Unless you buy one, then it's the same with that big record player that I bought, which is frustrating because that big bang when it went live on the live stream ended up being the audio amplifier completely took out at the end of it. I can buy a cheap Chinese one, and they're about 15 quid. But it's true what the old boy said, and he said, I'll tell you now, you'll put it in. He said, it'll last probably a couple of weeks. You'll go to use it again, it'll go bang again. He said, they will just get, he said, they're cheap, nasty components. He said, these are totally original. That is why they lasted as long as they did. He said, but it's the type of business, he said, it's the type of gear you're going in for. And with this, there's a lot of circuitry in here, this type of business. But obviously now I've run into a problem. For a simple thing is, I've got to try and look for another belt. Obviously, I've got the model. I've just got to get another belt. I just need that one belt. I won't need them two belts unless they need them back. But I'll have to put that in an email, which is a shame because now I can't finish this, which is short. It's really buggered my stream up. But it's like everything else. You won't know that until you actually put it in and try it. But at least I have for show that I've done it correctly, and there's no tensioner. It's just that the belt's got to be the correct tension on that for that to slip on, like it was on the medium-sized belt. That was just the right tension for that to go on. So I know that belt's fine. The obviously the wheel for the counter clock, that's fine. It was just the main wheel itself for the, like on the platter that sits on the main drum. Obviously, it's slightly oversized. It's been slightly overstretched on that front. I'm not saying it is brand new, but and it is for that correct model, because looking at this is the exact same model that I. That's how I know, because there's no model number on this. There's literally no model number. There's none on the side. There's none in the centre. It's not even broadcasted at the top. There's nothing. Absolutely nothing. All you got is just all you got is just shows you what it can connect to. But there ain't nothing physically. I can't see any. But there's nothing on there that says what model number this is from. So I'm really gutted, to be honest, because it buggers me up because I can't finish it off. And I thought, oh, typical. You ain't in here, is it? Because I did put the parts in here. No, they're Xbox clamps on that front, but no, no. That's all there was. So it don't even tell you what model. You have to go buy a picture. Well, that's a good German. That's a good German brand, isn't it? The typical craps. They end up just saying, "Oh, now you'll be all right. Just look at the picture," which is great. But I'm pretty gutted because now I have to take that belt. I'll have to email them first before I take that belt off. But now I know how to get to that belt at the end of it. Obviously, actually, that's a good point. While I'm on the stream, let's test that. Oh, the bloody, is that camera gone again? Yeah, it's gone, The overhead camera's gone again. Wow. There you go. So, I think camera's gone again. It's got a mind of its own, that camera. So what I'm going to do on the live stream, right, I'm going to take that big belt off. Why? I'm going to see if that is true. Can I take that off? Why it's in play, and prove to what he just said, that old boy, right? See if I can get to that. Right, let's take that. It's got to go under the wheel, right? Now I'm not gonna literally try and so it's got to slip round. He's basically said you've got to slip it over the big shaft. So right, so straight away you're gonna need the torch, right? So he said put it under, and then you've got to pull it through. Right, let's see if that's the case. I want to see how easy that is, because people make out it is easy, and I can assure you it's obviously not easy at all. Right, now I've not took the other belt off. I'm just taking that big belt off without taking all of this top plate off. Let's see, because I can always go back to this video and prove a point to actually saying, yep, he's right. He was 100% right. Because I can't bloody get to it, because it's straight away I've run into the headache that because I still can't gain access to it. Unbelievable. Right, okay. So straight away that we can't seem to gain access to under here. Right, so you pull that through. Yeah. See what I mean with the type of, when they say they make it look easy, I can assure you it's not easy. So we've got a surface hatch, obviously, because now this is now flopping around. It's got nothing to sit on. But I just want to prove and see, follow the same video of what he just said, because he said they should be the same with all models. Right. So basically, right, what I've learned, right? So basically, you pull it out from the bottom behind the transformer, and now I can see it from the top, right? So basically, now he said just take that and take it out. Obviously, to do that, you've got to put that one in first. So this one goes in first, that one goes in second. because otherwise it's looped over and you won't get it out. So let's pull that underneath there and pull that one out, which it has. Okay, so yeah, he's right. You can do it this way. Not the easiest. It's a little bit tricky, but it's doable. Yeah. So basically, I managed to get the belt out. So to get that out, this has to go in first, right? Then you do that one second. So you can get to it because I've just proved it and took the belt out. So that belt is overstretched. It's just way overstretched on that front, which is a shame. But we have got the belt still back on here because, like you said, it's turning the dials. So I know that, which is a good thing. But I think that the problem that this has got, that belt, it's just slight overstretched on that front on here. I think what it needs to do, it needs just for that to go slightly in more, to have a little bit more tension on that belt, but it just sit on there. So, which is a shame because, like you said, obviously with all rubber you've got to have some form of tension in that front. But I think this has got too much. Being the old stock, that's probably that. It seems like to me that's slightly overstretched, just ever so slightly, and it's not enough to grip it on that front. And obviously, like, because the other two are fine, but at least now I know that video. I'll keep that video on there because I'm going to need to come back to this. But at least I know that for 100% sure I can look at this and think, right, I don't need to take this off. I mean, I've got to take it to re-grease all of these shafts anyway because all this needs to be re-greased. It's completely all dried up. There's no grease on this. You can actually see it's just all dry. So all underneath here, it all needs re-greasing because it needs a good service. But I know this does work because I was using it before the belt snapped. So for the sake of the belt, for the sake of science, I'll say it just for the sake. Oh, I'll order another belt. Now it's got to go back, which I'm a little bit gutted to be totally honest. But you know, it's one of them things. It can't be helped. But if they want the belts back, fine. On there, I don't have to take all that off to gain access to it. So, you know, I can always look back at this video. So there's going to have to be a part 2 to this, and come back to it at some point. I've got something else to be getting on with. I mean, one, they'd rather have to refund me or send me another belt out, basically. And what I'll do, I will compare that belt. If they say keep the belt, we don't want it back, we'll refund you. Fine, okay. Then, because I'll say to them, no, you know, you just send me another belt out. If they send me another belt and it's identical to that, there's no point me trying to re-put that belt back on because I'm going to run into the same problem with this. So then they're going to have to, you know, say, right, well, okay, then, you know, just send all the belts back and then we'll go from there. And then I have to try and look. But I've already looked on eBay and that's the issue I was running into. You know, not the video I really wanted because, again, that's what this does. That's what retro does. Retro holds you up because you're trying to do something. You know, I've ordered also a pot for the Atari 2600. So that's obviously I've got to do trace repair on that, which again, that's not going to be easy, which is on these Atari boards. I've got to do 2 of these. I've got 2 boards to be dealing with on the Ataris. I've ordered a pot. It's a 500k pot. Obviously, the pot destroyed on this one, completely just disintegrated. The only downside is it's got trace damage. I'm hoping that I might be able to, do that. I mean, these 2 should be fine. I think one of these is an earth, looking at these, and the other one, I think that's how they work. One side is an earth, and the other side is alive. So it's only 2 points on that front. So I've ordered one of these. I mean, it's got it on the board there, Atari 1978. So again, I need to put a pot on this. I don't want to take this off and swap it over. I've just ordered a 500k pot, but I also might have to order some of these green bogey resistors. Apparently these can go down, but let's do one thing at a time first. I need to try this. Just put another pot on, a correct pot. But if they do and it still ain't right, then I'll get these resistors, transistors. Changed over on that front. I don't know if I can actually still buy these. Probably not. I'm going to say no because, again, it's vintage, and like all vintage stuff, it's going to be a no-no. At the end of the day, I'll have to look at the value. They're obviously not the greatest of values. What are these? These are 100 volt, 68k, 0.68k. So 0.68k of a 100 volt transistor at the end of the day, or not a transistor, a capacitor, so like a form of capacitor, because that's what these are. They're like the old type of capacitors. Obviously, you've got the ceramic capacitors. I'll have to do some testing and just test the capacitors. But again, if you're reading them in circuit, it's gonna, whatever components are near it, like most all resistors, it's going to pull the value down of that capacitor or the, whatever's near it. If it's not, then it'll give you a true value. But again, that one needs to be replaced. Someone's put the wrong one. Obviously, someone's been in this before and put, I need an axle one to put back in. I don't know if that, again, who's put that in? I don't even know what value that is. So it looks like a new cap. 63 volt for 4.7 microfarad. Without checking the capacitance, I can check the old one, see if that's got the one on here. Actually, because it's exactly the same one. No, someone's done exactly the same on this one, and again, lovely. So they've not put an actual one in here. 50 volt. Why is that one? So why is 150 volt 4.7? I think someone's been mucking about with these. And that one is 63. Is that 53 or 63? 63 volt. So why has one got a 53 volt, a 50 volt, and why has one got a 63 volt? Clearly, that's not right. So we need to address this issue straight away. So there's a couple of issues on these boards that they're incorrect at the end of it. So yeah, not the ideal of way of putting these in, but something I'm sure we can address in the next concept. So I might have to order some components for these. I might have to check up. I don't know if I can get the schematics on an Atari 2600 of the Woodies. But first things first, I'll need to address to see what's going to happen with the belt system. Obviously, I can't continue that Grundig and see what they come back with. But yeah, what's the time? So basically, oh, that's all right. So I'm going to have to come back for a part 2 on the Grundig and do a part 2, obviously, because I do want to get. I know that does work. It works fine. It's just that the bloody belt snapped and I was gutted. So and these probably were the original belts. I don't know what happened to the big belt. I ain't got a clue where it went. But the other 2 belts are fine. But if they want all the belts back, fine. I can take them off. I know what model this is now. At the end of the day, and the good thing is now I know about that surface etch. I can now poke all the, actually try and go through and put it all through this. But obviously, I've got to know that big belt on first, and then the medium-sized belt goes on after, and then I can do it that way. Little bit of mucking about, but yeah, it should be. And then I can sort of dress that because there's no other tensioners on there. That was correctly how I've done it. So hopefully you can get it. But yeah, I'm gonna have to see while I'm off, while I'm finishing the stream. Also stream to see if I can get schematics on these Ataris, and because I'd like to get these old Ataris up and running on that front, because I've got a couple of Atari 2600s there. So again, it'd be great if I can get them sorted. But like all vintage stuff, it's components, like always. But yeah, thanks guys for joining. I'm gonna have a bite to eat now, and I've got some more video editing. I've got 36 videos to I've done more streaming, but hardly any uploading. So I've got 36 videos waiting to be uploaded. Oh my god! I mean, they take hours just to upload and do editing side, and then obviously due to copyright, I can't believe I'm playing the copyright-free music, and it still comes up through the algorithm as copyright, which is mad, absolutely mad. But yeah. But yeah, what I'll do, I'll come back to this. I definitely need to come back to this because I want this finished at the end of it. Like I want all these projects finished so I can move on to another project. So yeah, I will come back to this for part 2, and we see where we go on that front. But yeah, thanks guys for joining, and hopefully I'll see you again very soon. Take it easy. See you soon.